Good morning, you guys. I will give everybody the opportunity to start coming in. I'm gonna do a little short live right quick. Hey Letitia, hey Clarinetta, hey phenomenal black woman, Gristle Hardaway, Holiday Tracks, HD Bully, Fox, Your Choice Towing, Little Miss Muffin, Leo, good morning, Rita. How you guys doing this morning? It's early. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. Um, yes, it's cold and it's raining. I wish I could stay in, but I can't. Okay, you guys, I wanted to talk about we must start being examples to our children in our communities. Hey Diane, hey Fox, Crystal. We must start being examples to our children in our communities and um, holding um, the entertainment industry responsible, right? And I'm gonna talk about why. I think I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna get deep into that. Oh yeah, everybody be careful because y'all know the big C has returned as a different strand, and I'm hearing that the hospitals are full. Like I was not feeling good yesterday. My grandbaby was not feeling good. I feel a lot better today, but my grandbaby, I kept her yesterday, and she was, my heart was so hurt. She had a fever, and all she just did was just lay down. And but she had an appetite because she was just laying down on the couch, and every time I got ready, I had some food. She raised up, so she was still eating. But yeah. So make sure you wear your mask. Tamara says, I work at a hospital and our units are full. See, I'm telling you, they said that they're not saying anything about the big C um, returning in record numbers because they don't want to have a shutdown. They don't want to have a shutdown, which is sad. So, what they're wanting to do is they wanted for people to, just they're being irresponsible with that. I think that's very irresponsible of the politicians. Okay, yeah, we're gonna pray for him. We're sending healing prayers. They better shut it down. Yeah, they better shut it down. That's sad. Oh my God, stomach virus symptoms is a part of the new strand. Oh Jesus. I'm glad I got some COVID tests. Tests. I said tests. I got some COVID tests. I'm going to I'm gonna take one. Take one before I get out today. I'm glad I bought the last time I bought a lot of disinfectant for my office. Like when you walk into my office, the first thing that's sitting on that desk right there by the door is hand sanitizer. I got a lot of Lysol. So I'm glad because about a y'all remember when it happened the last time you couldn't find alcohol nowhere. When they started back getting alcohol in stock, I went crazy on buying alcohol. So I got a lot of alcohol. So I would encourage everybody to go in and start stocking up because once they do, I guess once we lose quite a few people, because it's a certain amount of people that they probably want to be gone, and then they'll start talking about my daughter in law is a RN, said the emergency room is full of C-19. Muscle aches is a symptom as well. Oh, Lord, my neck was hurting. Hey, Lucille. Okay. Oh, Lord. Everybody, make sure y'all be careful. I have been wearing my mask. Well, keep hand sanitizer in your purse, so that you can always disinfect your hands and stuff. Wash your hands consistently. Yeah, make sure you wash your hands consistently. Yeah, people are coughing in your face. They don't care. They nasty. A lot of people go into the restroom and won't even wash their hands, which is absolutely disgusting. Okay. All right, you guys, stop. Please move. I'm ready for Riley to go on home because he's starting to get on my nerve. Um, and I love him too, but he's starting to get on my nerve. Um, this show I wanted to talk about. I was looking at some stuff on just on the internet, looking at the news and stuff, and I was looking at um how young people, our young adults and our young teenagers and stuff have gotten so out of control, right? And looking at teenagers who are 14, 15 years old. And I hear people say all the time, "Oh, well, this child, 10 years old, 11 years old, this child is before their time." And when I look at a child as being before their time, I look at a child as being before their time when they know how to process information, right? They know how to process information quickly or whatever. You know, but a child acting grown, being an adult business, not knowing how to be respectful to the people that they're supposed to be respectful to. Because, I also talk about, I also always bring up, because we were taught to be respectful, right? And so I think that it is important though that although we teach our children to be respectful, we also teach them the red flags of when you're not supposed to do what adults say, right? Because back in the day, that was used to hurt kids, right? When kids were told you always do what adults say, but then they were getting the M word by adults, family and friends and things of that nature. They felt like they were supposed to do what that adult said do, and so that adult violated that child's trust and violated that child's person and all of those things, right? But what I'm starting to see now is like when these kids are doing any and everything, right? Especially we see a lot of the teenagers now because a lot of the OGs are getting a lot of the older cats are getting teenage boys and girls to go out and do their dirt. And so it is good to be an example to your child. We have to be examples to our children, right? Because no child is supposed to. Now peer pressure has been around for a very long time. I think now they call it bullying or whatever. But peer pressure has kind of been around for a very long time. And so I think it is imperative that we start setting examples and making sure that we build a strong, righteous foundation. And I know that kids get into stuff, right? I know that they do. They get into stuff all the time. They can come from good homes, and a lot of times they will go left because they get into things, right? But it is important to build a strong foundation, because what I found is oftentimes when kids have a foundation, when they have a strong foundation that was built on some type of righteousness, even when they're out there doing wrong, there are just certain things that they just won't do, right? And so I think a lot of what we see now, I was talking to somebody last night and they was just talking about how these kids are, you know, and a lot of these adults, right? Like they just popping people and taking them out just to be able to say that they did it, right? And I know it probably has a lot to do with Memphis being a kind of like a lawless city at this point, because folks in their 40s already know that we didn't come from a time where you just took people's lives, okay? But it's good to start setting examples, because when people start talking about, well, CJ Davis needs to hire more police officers, and CJ Davis is the reason that these kids are out here doing bad. It really pisses me off, and I hear older people that you think would know better saying stuff like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like older people sitting up talking about, well, this crime is bad because CJ Davis ain't doing what she's supposed to do. You have a lot of these adults, y'all, that have teenage kids and have young adults that are still living in their homes, pointing the blame at the police director, pointing the blame at the politicians. Now, they do have a responsibility to do what is necessary with the resources that they get to put, I guess, put things in place, such as making sure that there's no deficit as it relates to having a shortage on police officers or law enforcement. They have a responsibility to put things into place to enforce the law. The lawmakers have a responsibility to write up laws and things of that nature to make sure hey, rest in peace, young dog, that things are put into place. But it is the responsibility of the parents, right, to build some type of foundation, because I don't want a police officer or a city council or a governor or a president or nobody having more control of a child that I gave birth to, right? That is my responsibility. Now I understand that sometimes it takes a village, and people have been receiving help since the beginning of time, but yet and still that is my child, and that is these people's children, and it is their responsibility not to outsource a lot of this blame. Like I said, I always talk about how I hear people say all the time, well, the police chief the Memphis police chief need to go because Junebug, they enforced what's the word that I'm looking for? They enforce, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I lost my train of thought. They enforced the curfew, and Junebug still ain't in the house. Well, it's not the police responsibility to make that sure that Junebug is in the house. If Junebug is 15, 16 years old or younger or older, because you have responsibility of your house. Even when my girls turned 18, 19, 20, 21, I have a certain time that I don't want my door open. I have a paranoia anyways about my door, people running in and out of my house, right? Even when I have company, I'll tell them, listen, you can have all the food and liquor that you want. I just require one thing. I don't like for my door for you to stand in my door with the door open. I don't like for people to run in and out of my door, right? And I'll keep my door locked at all time. I have a paranoia about that. Okay, I just want you to respect that. Just don't run in and out of my house and don't keep my door open. I feel vulnerable, right? But even with my daughters, when they was grown, they was living with me. They could do whatever they want to do. If they 19, 20 years old, 21, right? Years old. Hey, well, mama, I'm 21 years old. Okay. I'm 21 years old, so I don't have to be in the house at 10. Okay, you don't have to be in the house at 10. But hey, I would suggest that you be settled in wherever you're gonna be. That's what a mother says, but you can't walk in this house at 10. You can't walk in this house at 11 or 12 because I'm not gonna get up and let you in. My house is not a revolving door. Okay. So if you want to get in here, I suggest you be in here in a house that I pay mortgage on. Because I can't tell you what to do, but I control the house that I pay mortgage on. I suggest you be in here at about 11. Because if I'm laying there sleeping, you using my door as a revolving door, that's a problem. You making me vulnerable. And I'm not going to be vulnerable in a house that I pay $1,600, $1,700 mortgage on, right? So I think parents should tell their children that, right? Because even if you have like grown kids that like to throw up in your face, I'm grown, okay. But if they respect you, first thing they're gonna say is, look here, I need to be trying to get home by this certain time because my parent, I'm talking about if they are an adult. My parent, I can't walk into my mama's house after 11 or 12 o'clock or something like that. But if it is a teenager, I would think that a teenager is supposed to be in the house before the sun go down. And that's the issue that is that's the problem right there, right? Folks are sitting up outsourcing the blame. Well, little Rufus, the police ain't nothing. I don't even know where little Rufus at, and the police ain't trying to find him. The police don't be trying to do their job and make him get into the house. Y'all, when are we gonna stop outsourcing the blame, putting responsibility on people, on other people, when we're supposed to have the control over our kids? I say all the time, even before it gets to the police department, the parents have the responsibility to stop their children from committing a lot of this crime, right? If they consistently looking into what their kids doing. And I'm not saying that a parent that has a kid that's out there doing bad is a bad parent. No, I'm not saying that, because I know a lot of parents do the best that they can. But I feel like, when we're sitting up talking about single mothers and things of that nature all the time, that could be a double-edged sword, right? We have a lot of single mothers and fathers that are just pure D irresponsible, right? They kind of encourage and uphold what their children do, right? Those are the ones that I'm talking about. But then on the other hand, when you have single mothers that have children and they're working, because now, if it's a single parent home, sometimes you have to work several jobs. So if she's a single mother and she's got several kids, oftentimes the oldest child, if she don't have any help, is going to have to be the one to be at home to take responsibility. We're making kids adults before they should. A lot of kids don't even have a childhood because they've been put in a position at 9 or 10 years old where they have to oversee all of their other siblings, right? And so while mama worked, now, if mama didn't work, they wouldn't eat. Okay. And so we put a lot of responsibility on the mothers, and a lot of those mothers are good mothers. And I say all the time, oftentimes we make bad decisions as it relates to because I've made some bad ones, who we had these babies with. So we have to be more responsible with that, right? The only thing about it is, I always talk about, I was blessed. I had a support system, or else I would have been just like any other single mother, just out there with no help, no nothing. If working, trying to make ends meet, if I didn't have a strong support system at home, right? But these fathers are going to have to start getting into their sons' lives, whether the mama was a jump off or not. and their daughters' lives and being more responsible, y'all. I think it's like a double standard. We put all of the responsibility on the women. And I say all the time, women, hey, don't be careful about who you open your legs to and who you have these babies with, right? I know that we all make mistakes and things of that nature, but we shouldn't be making those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mistakes. Okay. Because that's what we seeing happening, right? We see a lot of women having a lot of babies back to back to back to back. And I know a lot of it comes from hurt. I've counseled with women and teenage girls also, right? I've talked to them too. And I understand like a lot of abuse and things of that nature, a lot of low self esteem, and they look for love in all the wrong places, and they allow people to use them, right? But I think as women, instead of being so evil, right? If you can help a young lady that wants to be helped, I'm talking about by sowing a seed in her, by talking to her instead of talking about her, y'all, we're going to have to get back to that. We're going to have to get back to that. Like I said, we're always looking to outsource a lot of what goes on in the Black community when we have the resources. A lot of this stuff that we could take care of within our own, we can handle in our own community. Like women, we're the models of our households and of our communities. And if you got the ear of a young lady and she looks up to you, instead of gathering into huddles and talking about it, because everybody wants somebody to talk about, they always want to look down on somebody because it makes them feel better about themselves, right? But if we have the ear of these young people and they don't have any good examples at home, maybe we can talk to them. And, people say, well, I ain't getting into that. I'm not talking about people that you can't talk to. I'm talking about people that you may be familiar with and you know that you can talk to, right? Right? Especially if they don't have these types of examples at home. That's the reason why I stay on the necks of a lot of these OGs, right? I think it's a darn shame before God that you have you know older guys who, instead of, especially if they have the influence and these young boys look up to them, instead of trying to guide them in the right direction, they look at this as a opportunity to start sending these little dudes out to do dirty work, right? Thank you, Roberta, for being a member. Rest in peace. Young Dog said something, I missed it. I guess he erased it because I don't see it no more. He said, "What's popping, Miss T? Glad you doing it live on this. That was the number one thing. Dolph was big on protecting and taking care of them kids. Some of these faking as niggas ain't doing it. Oh, of course not. And they don't care to do it. And that's one of the reasons why Six says, what about the women who keep fathers out of their children's lives? They use the courts when they should be letting a father who wants to be in their children's lives. Well, let me say this, Six. I hear you on that, because there are a lot of women, and women gonna have to stop that. If the man decides that he don't want to be with her, the first thing she'll do is she'll try and keep the man from his children. But the good thing about it is that what the man can do is he ain't got to wait on her to go to the courts. He can go down there to the courts himself. See, I think that's the issue with a lot of the men. When I tell them, they go, well, the mama trying to keep the kids out of my life, and I want to have something to do with my kids. Okay, so what you got to do is you need to go down to the courts and you need to file some petitions down at juvenile court. Now, here's the thing. You're probably going to be on child support, but at least you're taking care of your kids. But you get on child support, you request that the courts give you visitation rights. Hell, try to get joint custody of them, right? And if you feel like, do what is necessary so that you can spend time with your kids. And if it's a lot of smoke between you and that woman, I would suggest that you not get visitation rights to see those kids in that household. I would say the kids are able to come over to your house for the weekends or something like that. You're right, but I've seen some fight, and I'm one of them. The courts are against black men, whether they do right or not. Okay, get a lawyer and keep fighting. Get a lawyer and keep fighting for your kids. Okay, because I think it's irresponsible, especially if you are a good father. And I'm talking about any man that's a good father. And being a good father is not just providing for your kids financially, right? Being a good father is being there for your children, emotionally validating them and things of that nature. But if you have a woman, and I do know that women can be very vindictive, they feel like some women feel like it's about them, right? Um, even when the person has hurt them and been low down and dirty to them, they got to understand, even with all of that hurt, it's not about them, it's about their children, especially if the man is a good father. He might have been a no good man, but if he's a good father, he deserves to have a part in his children's lives, right? And so that's the reason why I say, and it ain't even good, because a lot of men will say, well, I want to have visitation rights. If there's a lot of smoke between you and that woman, I would not even suggest that you sit up at her house to visit your kids. You already need to have a safe, healthy environment that you can take your kids to and spend time with them, right? But you're going to have to do it through the course. And I don't know what it is. I'm not talking about you, but a lot of black men, for some reason, they don't want to go through the courts. They don't want to do that. But hey, sometimes that's what you have to do. And so that's the reason why I say a lot of men too, especially if they're good fathers, they're going to have to start, you know, that's an example. Just like some women got to choose better men, a lot of men gonna have to. Some men are gonna have to choose better women. Lucia says a no good man can't be a good father. Spend that money. They can't keep you from your child. You got rights too. Yeah, spend the money and do it. Do what is necessary. Like I said, I think in the state of Tennessee, in most states, you're gonna have to pay child support, which is nothing wrong with you paying child support. You're paying child support. I know a lot of men look at it as well. Well, I'm not talking about you though. And they go, well, I don't want to give her no money. No amount of money that a man, and they probably ain't gonna be paying but like $100 and something a week. No amount of money that a man can give a woman in child support could ever equate to what that woman does for their child every day, right? No amount of money could. I hear men talking about I pay $150 in child support. Oftentimes it's a month, and it's going in her pocket. That lady got light bill. She keeping lights on for your child. She feeding your child each and every day. Hell, $150 don't buy groceries. I pay $200 a month, and you got 4 kids, and you ain't paying but $250 a month, right? You got 4 damn kids over there, and you think paying $250 a month is a lot of money. I'm paying almost $500 a month. You can't even pay rent. I don't know nowhere you can live for $500. So there is nothing that you could ever do to suffice what that lady is doing. She has a lot of responsibility. Groceries cost. I went to the grocery store, had 3-4 bags, and it was $200. Can you imagine if I had a lot of mouths to feed? And I think men need to think about that also, right? Because taking care of kids is more than just buying Nikes and buying clothes and stuff. They have to have lights. They have to have shelter. They have to have sitting at the doctor's office. They have to have insurance. They have to have all of that stuff, right? The woman got CPS cases, a mile long for SA and negligence. I turned my whole life around, been out the streets for years, and I still got to fight. They use my criminal history to not give me my kids. Oh, wow. They can't stop you from having visitation rights, though. They can't stop that. I can't see a court stopping you from having being able to get your kids and spend time with your kids. Um, CPS cases, Child Protective Services. So that means that if she's had if CPS is involved, that means that there is some abuse, some negligence, like you said, all of that's going on. Get you a lawyer and get your kids. If she's got CPS cases, that means that there is something else going on that is not conducive to your kids being in their household. Get you a lawyer and get you and tell your lawyer to get you an investigator and see what's going on. Set up shop and see what they got going on over there and get your kids. Go get you hadn't been in the streets, get your background cleaned up. Go get that stuff expunged off of your background and go get your kids. God damn it. Remy, I'm not playing. Look, Remy, don't look. You're gonna upset me. Y'all, she took a whole ball, and I'm gonna have to go pour this out. And took her ball because she wanted me to play with her, and she didn't even want me to play until she saw me on here and put it and dropped it in my cup of coffee. Now I can't drink this coffee with her damn ball being in my coffee. Because see, with the court system, it's based on proof and stuff. I do child custody. I work with family attorneys to do child custody cases all the time, and it's based on make proof. And what we do is we have to get the lawyers proof for their clients that the child is not in a good environment. I was thinking the same thing. You feel like some people having kids just for, well, you know what? I've heard women say that. It's unfortunate. I've heard women say, and you know when you hear women say that they have kids so that their AFDC can go up and they've had kids. Hold on, y'all. That's right. He was supposed to go to court today. Court starts at 9 o'clock, so we'll know in a few minutes. Yeah, I think court starts at 9. But I've heard girls say that they have children just so that their check can be, you got to be in a bad state mentally if you're having children, to be able to get a check every month, right? Let me see how much money a woman with 5 children gets. It's not telling me. But I imagine that a person gets what, about $150 per child? I mean, $150 per child is about, and it's probably less than that. But let's just say it's $150 per child divided by 30 days. That's $5 a day for a child, y'all. A child can't eat off of $5 per day. That's the reason why I say it's got to be some mental healing in our community. They giving them $400 per child for welfare? I don't think so. I think they get about 100 and something dollars per child. Oh my God. Lord have mercy. And so that's the reason why I say it's got to definitely be some healing in our community. And even if mothers are single mothers, mothers have, I hear people say now, and it's almost like they're wanting to program that into the heads of a lot of these kids and use this as excuse. I feel like good fathers should be in their child's lives. I don't understand why a person wouldn't want to turn their life around to make sure that they are producing healthy environments for their children, right? But instead, what I see now is a lot of immature men, especially these young adults in their 20s and stuff, talking about, yeah, my son born into this. So they're automatically, and the girls are allowing them to do it. Well, I'm a gang member, so my son is automatically a gang member. It's almost like they're not, these kids, these babies now don't stand a chance, a lot of them. But what I hear society saying now is, well, it's like they want to etch that into the brain of the single mother and the boy. Well, he was raised by a single mother, so if he was raised by a single mother, he's gonna be bad. He's acting out because he was raised by a single mother. You've had women raising um young men by themselves since the beginning of time, and a lot of them turned out to be men of substance and valence. Okay, so you can't tell me just because I don't like for society to put that into the atmosphere. And so now I hear mothers saying, well, my son act out like that because I'm raising him by myself because I'm a single mother. No, lady, women have been raising men of honor since the beginning of time. A lot of men that are doing great things for their community, a lot of great fathers and stuff come out of single homes. They had a mother and grandmother or whoever to raise them to have substance. They got value. It was a foundation built on the inside of them, right? So I don't like for them to put that into the atmosphere in our community. And I only hear that, in the Black community. My daughter mean to her daughter because the dad don't deal with her or the child. That's sad. I've never been mean to my children um because of their fathers. Y'all know I joke about their fathers and stuff all the time. I was listening to, I was drinking a little wine the other day, and I was kind of joking about I was looking at that yesterday. I said, "Oh Lord Jesus, I can't drink wine and be on here." I was talking about the situation that happened between my child's father and I. But I'm gonna tell you something about my child's father. About them when they look at their daughters, even though people, they did some things in the past that they shouldn't have based on their issues with me, right? When they were around their daughters, even when I see them with their girls now, I see how they look at their girls. And I've always known that they love them, right? I be looking at them when I see them with them now, and they have their own relationships and stuff with their fathers. And I validated my daughters. I did. Now I talk about when my daughter had, she went off to college, and she met that African, and he thought that he was going to I don't know what he thought, but he didn't know. He just didn't know. He didn't know the type of mother that she had. But Tam was drinking that white Hennessy. I was drinking that wine. I was drinking that wine. Because I absolutely 100% don't have no issues with my daughter's fathers. I'm happy that they have built their own relationship. I did not, down through the years, tell them your own daddy don't love you. I never tried to influence them about their fathers. When they did not see them, I didn't try to influence them about them, because I had to do what I needed to do to validate my girls, right? There was some things, like even when my daughter had gotten with that African, there was some things I would go, maybe if their fathers, weren't so stubborn and had been around more, maybe they would have been she would have been validated in that sense. He could have spoken to her, because my dad would talk to her and stuff, but it's not like a grandfather talking to his granddaughter and a father that is validating his daughters, right? Telling him all the tricks of what guys do and all of that, right? It's different when I say it. It's she listened to a grandfather, but it's just it has a different effect when their father says it, and you're talking about the relationship of a father and a daughter, right? I think they would have received it a lot better, right? And so now they have their own relationship and stuff. They're adults with their dads or whatever. So um hey, I could only hope. But when growing up, I always did whatever I could to validate them. I never told them, well, your dad ain't this, your dad ain't that. Because I know when you're sitting up telling your kids that when you're sitting up telling your children, that you're talking bad about their dad. Because I know a lot of women, out of hurt, they have it really bad and projecting that and telling kids too much. Your own daddy won't take care of you. Your own daddy don't love you. So now what you're doing is you're making your child think that they're not worthy by telling them your own daddy don't love you. I would never in my life get angry enough to tell my child, because kids are growing, their brains are developing. They start to develop all of this anger that your own mama or your own daddy don't love you because of how I feel about them. Rather it's true or not, I think that it is important not to put that into the atmosphere, right? Because that influences them, their self-worth and all of that. I never did that, regardless to how I felt, regardless to how we stayed into it in the background. My children never heard or knew that, which is why they don't have any type of disdain towards their fathers right now. They can have great relationships. It makes me feel really happy. My oldest daughter, when her dad calls her, he's been having some issues with his health, and it makes me really proud for her when she sometimes she'll call me, well, mama, I'm going to if I keep the baby all day, if I have the baby, I'm gonna be a little late because my dad called me, and my dad says that he's hungry, so I'm gonna go and take him some I'm gonna go do this and that for my dad at the grocery store. And so because I did not influence them or tell them and put all of that heaviness on children, I think sometimes adults are irresponsible with that. They put all of that, my child is my best friend, I tell them everything. That's a damn child. You ain't got no business telling these kids half of this stuff, especially if you're trying to influence them as it relates to their parents. If you be quiet, they'll see it as they get older anyways. You ain't got to say nothing. But I definitely never tried to influence them as it relates to their fathers, because I was too busy trying to validate them, to let them know that regardless of who was in their life or not, I tried to validate them, to let them know I love them. Everybody around them loved them, right? And I tried to give to affirm my children. And I think people kind of get away from that, well, my child need a role model. I'm the motherfucking role model. What you talking about? So when I hear people talk about, well, my son going to the OGs because they need a role model, the role model starts within the household. Well, I can't be the role model because I'm the woman's. They got it messed up. They got the game confused. No, ain't no OG gonna be my damn child's role model. Just like I don't want the police to have more control over my child than me. I would feel like less than a mother if I had to call the police every day just to get my damn child to conform, not unless they had a damn mental illness. Well, I had to call the police because my son, there was a lady, but hey, I never got mad about this. I remember an officer friend of mine, Moo Riley, used to talk about, he used to ride around the West Precinct, which was around the Midtown area. He was a white guy. Sit down. And he talked about how this grandmother was raising her grandson. And he said every night when he was on at work, he already knew when the dispatcher dispatched him to that address that he had to go to the address, and they would have to make the grandmother would call, because the grandson that she was raising, who the mother and father had left with the old grandmother, she was an older woman, she would call, my grandson won't get in the bathtub. So he said he already knew when the dispatcher came over the radio and gave the address, okay? He already knew what they had to do. And so they would have to go to the address almost every night, and then walk in, and he already knew why they was walking in, and the grandson would go get in the tub and they would leave. Right? Stuff like that, because he said that was an older lady who was having to take care of her grandkids, because both parents were strung out on drugs. That's different. But as a mother, as a father, I never wanted to be a friend to my kids. I always wanted them to feel comfortable enough to tell me anything, but they always know that I'm mama. It ain't gonna be no cussing in front of me. I ain't never in my life cussed in front of, never in my life cussed in front of my mama. My sister made a mistake, and my sister and I was talking, was kind of joking around Christmas, and she forgot my mama was sitting there, and she said shit. And my mama said, "What did you say, girl?" And oh my God, you talking about embarrassed. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. My sister felt so bad, she got up and left. My children have never, I was shocked when somebody told me that my oldest daughter cussed. I've never heard my kids cuss. They said my baby girl cussed, the real quiet one. I can't believe it. I've never heard. I can't believe that they cuss. But so they tells me that they cuss. But my girls already know not to cuss around me or any adult or any elderly. He says, I did, and I got my wind knocked out. My sister called me on three-way one day. I didn't know my mama was on the phone. Me and my sister joke around a lot with cussing at each other. And my mama was on the three-way, and I said, y'all know how I can get down and cuss. And my sister said, I hope you know your mama on the phone. She said, Lord have mercy. I didn't think such words could come out your mouth. I hung the phone up, y'all. I hung the phone up. So that's why sometimes I have to think when I'm on here. I go, my mama said, well, my mama told me the other day, I'd be kind of scared to get, when I see that you live, sometimes I say, well, Lord, I ain't gonna get on because I don't know what I'm gonna hear. So I got to do better, y'all. I don't want my mama to be scared to get on my live. My mom brushed my teeth and dishwashing liquid. There's something real special about those grandchildren. It's a different kind of love. Mine melts my heart. All they have to do is say, oh, I love my grandbaby so much. Ooh, I love her. I have such patience with her. Oh my God, I love her so much. You're right. It's something different. And I love how my daughter is with her daughter. She is so patient with that baby. And that was the one that like had ants in her pants. She was like, "Mom, I'm getting ready to go here. Mom, I'm getting ready to go there." And people think that she was always real busy, even as a baby. And people don't believe me. Like when she would eat, she would stand up and eat. Okay, when she started walking, she didn't really start walking. She ran. I mean, I always tell people, y'all, that's my special little child. Okay, she's special. I don't say certain things around my mom and father either. Yeah, I didn't hear my dad cuss until I was like in my 30s, and he said shit and damn, and I was like, what? My dad cuss? As kids, never heard him cuss. And I've never in my life heard my dad call a woman out of her name. My dad got 6 girls. I've never in my life heard my dad call a woman out of her name. Ever. Never heard him say anything about a woman other than that woman crazy. Ooh, that woman is crazy. That was his favorite thing. Ooh, that woman is crazy. That was his favorite thing to say when he were, women that, that was crazy. Daycare man, Gristle, you started young. But I wanted to talk about a lot of these entertainers, and that's what made me want to talk about the entertainers when I think about what's going on, especially around the Memphis community, and I think I was looking at this. I be on Facebook quite a bit. I like to read comments and stuff. And I was reading comments in this it was this post that came down my timeline, and it was showing Angela Simmons, and I was reading all of the comments. Y'all know those promos that they be having, because those be promos. Look, I'm not playing with you, okay? And people was talking about, for the most part, her and Yo Gotti, and then it was talking about how people was how people in Memphis, um somebody had posted that, people in Memphis, some people in Memphis had turned on Yo Gotti, right? People in Memphis had turned on Yo Gotti for Young Dolph. And then I saw some people saying, no, Yo Gotti and them was, wrong for what they did to Young Dolph. People have a mixture of how they feel about that, right, for the most part. But I think any human being can agree and attest to that what had happened to him was not right. And I think, what people that lives on the outside of Memphis don't understand is you have some people, especially if they're still in the hood, whatever they feel, they're not going to say anything. And I can't be mad at those people for I can't be mad at those people because they got to live in the hood, and regardless of what they feel, because some people that they may not have even cared for Young Dolph, but they went, dog, that was just wrong what they did to Young Dolph. I think the negative energy that they had put into the atmosphere, and then just taking a human being's life was just evil, like on so many levels, right? And so that's the reason why I say that these entertainers, although a lot of them don't agree with it, they have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to the people that helps to make them rich. You talk about us in the community, it is us. Even if we got teenage kids and stuff like that that's downloading their music, a lot of these teenage kids ain't got no damn money, so they get the money from their mothers. The mothers and the fathers are paying for the internet to be able, so that they can, even if they download it and listen to their music. If the parents weren't paying for the internet, they wouldn't even be able to pull their music up and listen to their music, even on social media, on YouTube, where they get paid off of their social media pages every time we listen to their music, anytime we download and stream their music. They do have a responsibility of what they put out into the atmosphere, right? And so I think it's very irresponsible when I hear rappers say, well, ain't none of these kids mamas and daddies. That mamas and daddies need to tell them better. And I go, you're right. What the mamas and daddies need to do is, especially those artists that feel like that, you're right. I think they need to demand that they don't listen to their music, don't give them money to stream or download their music. And if they turn the damn internet off, they can't listen to it anyways and take their phones. And I wonder how the artists who feel like that they don't have a responsibility to the people that make them rich would feel at that point, right? I just think it's a darn shame how irresponsible a lot of these artists are. And I think about it, regardless of how people feel about CMG or how people feel about Paper Route Empire, anybody that has a human soul, right, gotta know and gotta say, hey, that was wrong what they did, right? I have cousins that are out in the streets, and I don't know what they do. But what I gotta say is, if my cousins were involved in something where somebody was taken out, okay, I would say, you know what, I love my cousins because I do love them. But you know what, they show was wrong, right? That show was wrong. It ain't no way in the world, rather than defend what's wrong, because hey, I understand people sticking behind their relatives, right? So rather than defend what's wrong, I won't say nothing, right? Because there have been times when I knew that my cousins was wrong. I tell them, y'all motherfuckers is wrong. Okay. But when people came up to, well, you know, your cousins did such and such, I don't want to talk about that. You know, rather than defend it, I just remove myself from it and let them know y'all wrong for doing that. Right. Because people have a responsibility, y'all. And I think these artists, what they put into the atmosphere, promoting, taking people out and promoting, using their money that they make off of the communities and stuff to to put hits on people. There is nothing righteous about that. And for me, I could never stand behind anything like that. And I think that that's where people got it twisted at. They're not holding their favorite artists responsible. Well, Yo Gotti and them, those are black men. Fuck them. That was a black man. Lord forgive me for saying it. That black man stuff went out the window when they chose to take a man from their children, from his children. Yes, they are black men, right? We understand that they are black men. We understand, when we was helping to make them rich, because I've listened to their music too, right? Listen to their artists. We understood that when we did not hold them responsible, when they had a history of trying to take that boy out, it was nothing right about that. I feel like the righteous black men should have stood up then and had some type of meeting, regardless to what Young Dolph said or didn't say. People been putting stuff in music all the time and making money, right? Regardless of what he said or didn't say, they still didn't have a right to take that man's life, just like nobody would have had the right to take Yo Gotti's life, right? If because he said something or because he was sending his artists out to say something, right? So that's the reason why I say our community is going to have to do better. We can't just uphold people because of how we feel about them. And we can't bring up that, well, these are black people. We just got to stand behind them. The moment they start destroying our community, we got to take our hands off of them. It was an energy that was released into the atmosphere when they did that. And so not only did they release a demonic force into the atmosphere, they started putting demonic people. A lot of them are not even in our communities. We finding out a lot of these trolls that got on here that was vicious, other than some of them black guys that's going to jail from down there in Texas, okay, that the FBI is going to get. We found out a lot of them weren't even black people, which is the reasons why they hired them to get on the internet and viciously attack. They don't have they don't give a damn about the black community, right? So they hired them. Not only do they take Young Dolph out and release that demonic energy into the atmosphere. Young Dolph was another. Before somebody said, well, Yo Gotti is a black man. Young Dolph was a black man that is now in his grave and can't continuously provide and protect and raise his children because of other black men, right? So what makes their life better than Young Dolph's? At least when they go to jail, their children can come down to the jail and see them. Young Dolph's kids can never lay eyes on him again in the physical, other than by looking at his videos and pictures. And so people that put putting being a fan first, you need to have a heart checkup, because you just as barbaric and evil. You better have a heart checkup before God give you a checkup. Because a lot of people have placed themselves into this stuff. See, what they'll throw at me is, well, you're a woman. Women ain't got no business being caught up in no men stuff. Don't think I don't know now when they start putting that stuff into the chats that it's some of their people. So what they're doing is they're still throwing out idle threats and things of that nature, trying to control, just like they did Young Dolph, what people say. Well, if he ain't gonna shut up, because if he wasn't being successful, they never would have hit him. If he ain't gonna shut up, we're gonna kill him. That's what's got the FBI on their asses now. So when people decide that, well, hey, Young Dolph should have been quiet. Well, then, okay, it's laws against what they did to him. Young Dolph had the right to say any and everything that he wanted to say as long as he was not violating them. They have a continuous history of trying to violate the very people and sending other people out that help to make them rich. If them niggas didn't have no money, they couldn't have done half of what they have done. I feel like it's a slap in the face of the Black community that we help to make these Negroes rich, and then they use the money to destroy their community. Because when you putting hits on people, when you're paying vloggers, when you're paying people that work at record labels like Empire to hire trolls to get on here to hack and things of that nature, you're destroying the community, right? That's what you're doing. You're consistently releasing stuff into the atmosphere and destroying your very own community, because if they didn't want people coming at them, they never should have did it. Let's get to the bottom of that. When people start trying to be judgment, well, you shouldn't have said that. No, they shouldn't have did it. When do we start holding people accountable? We wouldn't have nothing to say if they had not taken that man from his children. That's being morally bankrupt and corrupt when you can try and justify other Black men taking out a Black man just because he said something that they didn't want him to say. Who died and made them Negroes God? And so now we're supposed to stand behind them because they put their foot in their mouth. Well, you know you wrong. I think the mistake that a lot of people make is thinking that I get on here to, and that's the reason why they viciously came at me in the beginning. But y'all, it's not over. You don't come at me and violate me and then think because, well, I was just wanting to, my anger was misplaced. Well, then you're gonna have to pay for your misplaced anger. You got me fucked up, motherfucker. You don't come at me and then decide, well, I don't want to do it no more. No, bitch, you're gonna die or go to jail. That's what you're gonna do. That's the only way I'm gonna be satisfied. And maybe I'm wrong for saying it, but people that's in here, they don't understand what these motherfuckers put me through because they being paid by Empire by way of CMG. If you don't believe me, ask the FBI. Okay? A lot of these trolls, I was looking at some of these trolls, y'all, that used to be in my chat, and I don't know why God took me to I just became interested in looking at because I like a lot of the New Orleans music, right? And so I've been looking at Terrence Gangster Williams stuff. I think a lot of what they do is hilarious. Sometimes when they go back and forth with each other, I don't really buy into that stuff about BG being a rat or anything like that, because I don't know anything about that. BG did 13 years. I can't imagine somebody doing 13 years for a charge, having a gun charge, being a damn rat. Because first of all, they overcharged him. They don't even give people that commit murder 13 years. So if he did 13 years for having a gun charge, I can't imagine him being a rat. Okay? I can't. Okay? And so anyways, I was looking at the young lady's I was looking at her vlog because, like I said, I would like some of the New Orleans. I love the bounce music that New Orleans have, and there was these two artists that one of them is no longer here. He had died, and his baby's mother had been talking about him, because when I saw that he had passed, I was like, dog, he passed away. I hate that because I like their music, And so I saw some of the trolls, y'all, that used to be in my chat. And I was like, what the hell they doing way over here? And this girl from New Orleans, and she ain't even no vlogger. Like, she just talking about her baby daddy. Right? The same trolls that was in my chat. This how you know they working. I started snapping more pictures than I could snap to send up. Okay? Some of the same damn trolls, right, in her chat. That's how you know they are connected to a record label. And I think it's a darn shame when you have Black men getting their Black asses on here being trolls and violating people for a damn dime, and then have the nerve to say that I'm the problem. And so what people don't understand is, when they were sitting up talking about, was she on here so she could tell the police everything? Let me tell you something. I have friends that are police officers, I have people that work in law enforcement. I've never in my life called him and said, this vlogger has said that this, I'm trying to collect information for this, y'all. I'm a professional for real. If I was trying to collect information, I wouldn't even be using my face. But I don't on here, I would be up under something assumed, right? But I think it's a darn shame, y'all, that but you know what's so funny? Why they was thinking I was on here trying to collect information to give to the police, because I don't do stuff like that. I do investigative work, but they don't even know what my investigative work entails, and it has nothing to do with anything that's on here. Hell, people hire me to do a damn job, right? That a lot of the people, it's more people that call themselves gangsters and stuff that keep the police informed than I do. You can ask any friend that I got that's in law enforcement. I got a damn auntie that's working on a young dog's case, okay? And I've never in my life said anything to her about anything other than them hacking. And hell, I don't have to say anything to her. You know why I don't have to say anything to her? Because a lot of times she'd be sitting in the background looking at what was going on. And the first thing that she said from the very beginning was, I tend to believe that it's got to be somebody, even before I believed it, that's coming from a record that's being funded by a record label, even before I knew what was going on, she said, because she'd be in the background listening. Right? And even now I don't call her, auntie such and such, such and such. I don't do shit like that. But a lot of these ones that claim they solid, that be on here hacking, now they getting money from the folks and then being the damn snitches. You can't do both, you bitches. Right? So I think they come at me because they scared that I know and that they rats and gonna tell it. I'm not though, because I'm not into stuff like that. I got on here to vlog and get off. But they pull me into this, y'all. They pull me into this when they started and they go, well, why is she so mad? When I first started getting on here, I was so happy to just be vlogging. I was like, I said I wanted to vlog. It's fun to communicate with folks. I wasn't getting on here trying. As a matter of fact, I was neutral. When I first started, I did not say anything bad about Yo Gotti. I didn't say anything bad about Young Dolph. I let people get up on my panel. Okay. I let people get up on my panel and voice their opinion. And I would say, well, now we can't blame people. Now, regardless to what I knew or didn't know, I didn't do it. Okay. I didn't do it. And so, yeah, regardless to what I knew or didn't know, I didn't do it. Okay. Hold on, y'all. I got a head cold. I be having it. If I go silent, it's because I have to put y'all on mute to blow my damn nose, okay? Because I can't have no that. I took some medicine. That mucus coming up, it's gonna come up out of me, okay? And so when they started viciously attacking me, and I started being informed that it was coming from a record company, it seemed like to me it's coming more from Empire than anywhere, though. Hey, I think that's gonna be another story. Okay, don't send y'all's trolls at me because they already onto y'all the black person that's behind it. Okay, um, hey, you know, I keep weapons. I keep my head on swivel. I ain't none of Jeremiah Taylor. Okay, rest in peace to Jeremiah Taylor. But I think it's a darn shame what happened to him. But this is what I'm talking about, you guys, when I talk about how sick our communities are. And listen, I don't know what happened to Jeremiah Taylor. Jeremiah Taylor. It could have been anything. Nobody has told me anything that had happened to Jeremiah Taylor. The only thing that I was told about Jeremiah Taylor is that they was on top of it. Hell. Okay, I don't know anything about it other than I think it's sad that it happened to him. Because I don't know what Jeremiah Taylor was into, right? But wait, I can't believe he doesn't blog, but God is good. Right. And so when they get to talking about, well, we black people be wanting to tell on each other, y'all, what sense does it make to think that you can come up off the back of destroying somebody's relative, right? Y'all, they get connected with these record labels and stuff. These record labels like Empire and CMG, God, they don't really own CMG at this point. He's just probably the face of it because he's given up so much of the percentage, right? But what good is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul, and then you end up losing everything in the end? A lot of the stuff that these people have done on here, y'all, is like I said, when they started making indictments on here, it's gonna be bigger. Okay, it's gonna be bigger than what happened on Backpage. It is, and it's sad to me when you see women on here that are involved in a lot of the things that has been going on and have put themselves in bad positions, but yet and still it's not something that I did. When I started filing reports, it is because of what was happening to me directly. It wasn't because I've never in my life filed a report and said, I had somebody to come to me in my comments and say that this person did this to Young Dolph. I've had a lot of people to send me stuff. I ain't no damn fool. I know when people are sending me stuff in hopes that I'm going to send it to the police, the first thing I tell folks, if you believe that, you contact the police, right? But the only time I file reports on people when they've been a direct threat to me and my family. And when I say I filed them, I have filed them. When I found out how they was violating me as far as hacking into my internet and stuff like that, I started filing FBI reports, right? But as far as well, hell, I would say that I'm probably more solid than anybody. And whatever they know, these folks was getting into my damn chats. It's not like I wasn't telling them, well, you the police page. I said, I told you motherfuckers they be up on here. So they were more crash dummies than JoJo Splat and straight dropping them, these old Negroes, because you'd be surprised about these old trolls that's behind a lot of this hacking, these old ass bitches on here. Okay, theirs come from being jealous and wanting to go duplicate your damn ID and hoping to get some credit cards and shit in your name. That's how big their organization is, but that still ain't got nothing to do with me. That's between them and the FBI. I wasn't the one that told them they was already up on the investigation, right? But I think it's a darn shame, even still, you got people that, and trust me, some of these thugs they've told way more than I ever could. Cause I already told y'all, I don't have no issues, especially when there are violations as it relates to me and going to the folks. Why would you violate me? But as far as trying to get on here and find out information, everything them folks needed as it relates to the Young Dolph case, they got the majority of it from the people that was involved the night that it happened, because they jumped their asses on social media. And what they did was subpoena their damn emails and their social media accounts and got everything that they needed when they was sending each other messages. That was way back 2 years ago, when they was getting on here threatening people. They were sending subpoenas to Google and tracing back the IP addresses of the people that was getting on here threatening folks. That's how they was able to figure out who were all involved. I could say that now it's going on 3 years. They got their case wrapped up. So I would be a damn fool to get on here and say, well, I started talking about the Young Dolph's case just to give people the opportunity to talk about it, because everybody was, so everybody is intrigued. It wasn't on here. I'd be a damn fool to say, well, I came on here to solve the Young Dolph's case. I could never solve it because I don't know everything that goes on in the Young Dolph's case and don't want to solve it. I ain't on the case. I trust the people that's connected to the witnesses, that's got all the evidence, that know everything from A to Z to solve their case. See, I'm mentally sane, okay? They understand that a lot of people on here got on here to witness tampering. They're gonna find themselves with some charges in the end. Witness tampering is a crime. They got on here to witness tamper, to witness intimidate, to jewelry tamper. That's what a lot of these vloggers got on here to do by way of some of these record labels. Okay? From what I was told. That's what I was told. But it all goes back to our community, y'all, not setting good examples, because you would think that some of these men would know better. They get on here, okay? They act like a bunch of damn fools. They use the fact that they crackheads and meth heads, right? They crackheads and they're meth heads as excuses for doing a lot of what they do, right? That's what they do, y'all. I'm trying to read the comments. But we got to start setting better examples. It shouldn't be no reason why men are so whacked out that they can't refer to a woman, because I don't know a righteous man that, and I know my dad wasn't perfect, okay? And the reason why, and I say this, because I love my dad with all my heart, but you have to understand, my dad was an elected official. And it's something about men with power. They are a magnet for women. Okay. Women, they love to try to associate themselves with men with power. So I'm sure he wasn't perfect. He was perfect to me, but I know as a person that he was not perfect. But I've never in my life heard my dad call a woman out of her name. I don't know why men, they supposedly righteous, right? But they can't even refer to a woman, young lady, or anything. She all kinds of B's and H's. And I've said from the very beginning, until black men get it right and start treating the right black women right, they can't have no luck, because the woman is the blessing. People take a lot of these ideologies and they want to use some of it, and they don't want to use all of it. Well, I don't believe this and that. Well, do you believe that the man is the head? Yeah, the man's the show, the head. Okay, well, you can't use what benefits you and not all of it. Because if I'm gonna believe some of it, I'm gonna have to believe all of it, right? The majority of it. I believe that the man is the head, but I also believe that men are supposed to provide and protect. You can't be the head if you don't do that. And the problem is, I don't see a whole lot of men protecting the women. Well, some of these women is hoes. Well, there are a lot of women out there that's whores. They're whoremongers, but all of them ain't. And even if they are, it should be other ways that you refer to women. I know righteous men when I see them. I've dealt with I grew up in the hood, so y'all know I've always had contact with straight up. Even when we moved out of the hood, I was still in the hood. I've had contact with hardcore street dudes. I was telling y'all about the first guy that I dated. I had no idea. My very first boyfriend, and he was out there in the street. I would hear him cussing and stuff, but he still had manners. That even with him going left, at the core, he had a foundation. Right? And they tells me, and I don't think he is at this point. So when people get talking about I don't think he is at this point. Okay. I think he done turned his life around, because I be seeing him with his kids and stuff, his grandchildren, and he has done a 360. Okay. Because they tells me he was terrible back in the day. I had no idea, because he was raised by his grandmama and granddaddy, right? His daddy was killed right in his face. And so it always made him really sensitive. But they tells me he was a gang leader. So when I would go up there to South Memphis, I didn't know why all them dudes was hanging around him. But at the core, there was a foundation, because I remember his grandmother when I used to be over there, and she was like the sweetest old lady. So there was a foundation built on the inside of him that in his older years, because he's about 51 now, he'd be a damn fool talking about he was a gang leader, right? He was able to revert back to what his grandmama and granddaddy instilled on the inside of him. And so that's what I talk about when people when I say building foundations for your kids, even when they go wayward, they're able to revert back to that, y'all. That's the reason why, when people say PK kids, those are preachers' kids, sometimes are the worst, right? Because a lot of times they've been sheltered, and so when they start getting out, they talk about the girls being all, very overly sexual and all of that. When they start getting out, not everybody, but a lot of them, okay, because they've been sheltered, they want to start experimenting and trying things, right? And so a lot of times you've seen a lot of pastors' kids go and get on drugs, right? And so that's why when there is a core foundation, because sometimes you just have to let people go on, and we be trying to protect them. Sometimes you have to you let them roll on, especially when they get older. But when there is a core foundation, right? When there is a core foundation, that's the reason why, a pastor can be standing in the pulpit and they ain't seen their wayward son or daughter that got on drugs for 5 years. And then 5 years later, they just walk in up off of the street and walk into the church. And it just blows their parents' mind, because I feel like when you're righteous, and I do believe in prayer, right? Whether you believe in God or not, you got to know that there's a higher power somewhere, right? Because they revert back to the core foundation, the righteousness that was built on the inside of them in the very beginning. They revert back to that, and they can come in off of the street and start trying to start their lives and stuff all over again. The problem is, ain't no core foundation of righteousness being built on the inside of these folks. These people are okay with saying, well, Cardi B is my child's role model. Cardi B has a responsibility as far as the music that she put out, and we're not holding her responsible, right? We ain't holding her responsible. But Cardi B, I would feel terrible, or I would feel less than a mother if by saying, well, Cardi B, my child's role model. Nah, I'm my daughter's role model. I want to be both of my girls' role model, right? I don't want anybody. Like, I used to, when I was like 15, 16 years old, I used to always write Chicago. That's when I didn't know no better. I had this admiration for Oprah, right? I did. I never, when I was younger, I never said I wanted to be a talk show host. I never said any of that. I always said I wanted to be an OBGYN, okay? But I had this admiration for a Black woman who we didn't see a whole lot of them on TV then, just being on TV, properly pronouncing her words. I had an admiration for Oprah, right? But even still, with me having an admiration for Oprah, my mother has always been my role model, and I still strive to be more like my mother, because my mother is one of the best people that I know. She's kind, she's loving, she's non-judgmental. And when I say she don't judge people, she don't judge them. That's why people call her, and such and such, such and such. Well, she always trying to see the brighter side of things. Well, because I got ready. Y'all know that night that person got to harassing me, right? And I was talking about them. I was so mad because I had been to court that week and something else had happened. And then they jump on a live talking about me. And my mother immediately started praying when I called her. And I think I was so stressed. I was so mad, right? Because it's been 2 years and you still got people obsessed with you, but it's coming to an end. They probably know it, right? Because they're going to jail. And my mother immediately said, no, don't call the police. I'm getting ready to call God. And that's what she started doing when I was on the phone. That's the reason why when I went back and looked at that, I started getting, like, I was so mad because of what I had been through. It seemed like it just started coming down. All of a sudden, y'all saw the peacefulness coming out of me. That's because I've always had a good role model. She said, don't call the police on him. I'm getting ready to call God on him. I'm getting ready to call God down on him. And it was like a peace that just came over me, right? So even though I had an admiration for what Oprah was doing, my mother has always and still is my role model, right? And still is. My mother was a teenage mother. My mother was a teenage mother. My mother had me when she was 16 years old. And even being a teenage mother, I always saw my mother, even as it relates to my grandmother, always take care of everybody else. And she always did it with love. Because even now, like with my girls, right? I go, even with one of my babies, especially with my baby girl, I hear my daughter say all the time, we love, Granny. They'll call my mother oftentimes when something is going on before they call me, because my mother always know how to tell them. She'll tell them the exact same thing that I tell them, but she know how to lay it out there in a way where it's so loving, right? That she know how to get them to revert and start doing things the way that I would tell them to do it. But she tell them in such a loving way, they don't even realize it, right? That's the exact same thing I said to them. Okay. And so even still at 40 something years old, my mother is my role model. My dad is still my role model. Now my dad wasn't perfect. Okay? The ladies loved him. They loved the power that he had. But he was a handsome man. But I still saw my dad handle himself right, just with a lot of class. And he was just even if something was wrong with him. The only time I ever saw my dad cry, I've seen him cry twice. I saw him cry when his mother passed at the hospital, and it shocked me. I was like, I've never seen my dad. It shook me. I said that my dad looked like he's crying, and it shook me. Right? Because I was like, I've never seen my dad cry. And I knew something was wrong. It shook me when he was dying. Days before he died, I would see tears rolling out of his eyes, right? When he got to a point where he couldn't talk anymore and stuff, his voice was so weak. I would see tears rolling out of his face, right? But my dad has always been my role model, y'all. One of the reasons why, as a young woman, and that's the reason why I say it is important for parents to be role models in their children's lives. One of the reasons that I've never had to compromise ever in business, because being a young girl, having a zest, being a young woman, when I started doing business, when my dad started investing in me to do business, I didn't have to go and sleep with nobody. My dad invested, right, in my production company. And so when I was going out to get advertisement, I didn't have to compromise. You know why I didn't have to compromise? Because when I would get out there after talking to people that, in the community, like pastors and stuff like that, that we held to a higher standard, and I would get there and they would scratch me in my hand or they would flirt with me and stuff like that, it would hurt me. It was a shock to me that they would do me like that. I'm a young woman trying to build a business and you want me to lay on my back? So my dad has always been my role model, because the first thing my dad would say was, oh, don't worry about that. What you crying for? I would always be crying. Everything made me cry, especially when we first got into business, when people that I held to a higher standard, I would get out there and they would show me that they looked at me as being just, I guess, a skirt. And my dad would say, regardless to whether you get any advertisement or not, who been paying that TV bill? I said, you. He said, who been paying that TV insurance? I said, you. He said, regardless to whether you ever get any business or not, I've been the one paying for everything. Don't you ever feel like you need to compromise nothing, and I'm going to pay for it until you get it going off of the ground. And that's exactly what he did. right? And everybody might not have a father that can do that because my dad made a lot of money, right? So he could do it. But regardless to whether you making a lot of money or not, you're supposed to have some type of substance. You supposed to be role models to your children. People value being role models now by what kind of money they got. Even before my dad got in the position that he was in, he worked 2 jobs when I was a little girl. And then God took him. He was always a hard worker because he came from greatness with my granddaddy and them, right? Working hard. But I still looked up to my dad. He was poised. He was an astute businessman. He was a strategist. He was all of those things, right? Regardless of what you have or don't have, it ain't no reason for no man to be out there making the same mistakes, and you got children that's looking at you. You sitting up calling your baby mama all out of her name around your daughters. You talking about calling your baby mama all kinds of B's and H's in front of your daughters. Your mama is a hoe. Your mama ain't nothing. So this is how you handle your baby mama, regardless of how you feel about it. You saying that to your daughters and sons, and you influencing them. You being irresponsible. So in order for our community to change, a lot of the adults and how they doing it is going to have to change, because we're the ones that influence these young adults and these children. It's going to have to change. Regardless of how much money you got, I've seen men walk away from home, or they don't even want to have nothing to do with their kids. I don't even want to have nothing to do with my kids. Why? I ain't got nothing to give them. You got love. You got validation. If you ain't got no job, get your ass up and get you one. But in the meantime, love and validate your children. No OG should have more control over your kids than you. I'm surprised at how these men are leaving their sons out there for the yo Gottis and the big jukes in them to be able to pay them to ruin their lives. That's the reason why I stay on the head of these young men and on the head of yo God in them. Because we supported them and put them in the position that they are in. And this is what they do to our community. And anybody that think I'm wrong as a black woman for saying it, fuck you. You wrong. You less than a man. You and me in business. Somebody got to say it, because y'all stay on y'all knees. Nigga, you wrong for ruining our community. You wrong. You wrong for killing that boy and he got kids just because you was mad. You wrong. Ain't nobody saying that, because everybody on their knees trying to get crumbs and looking at these dudes like they God, and they have put them in the high place that they should have a real God, and that's the reason why God whooping their ass is cat raggedy. And so it ain't gonna get no better until we have a different mindset. I make my own money. YouTube don't pay a damn bill I got. I'm getting ready to go make a bag when I get off of here. Then I'm gonna go get my toes and shit done. That's the reason why I work hard. Okay. So you, regardless of whether somebody get on here or not, a sister, that $1,600 mortgage gonna get paid. Okay, I keep me a few cars. I ain't got no more car notes. I ain't no damn fool. Okay, when I pays them off, I keeps them, right? And I'm gonna eat that light bill. I paid the light bill yesterday, and YouTube didn't have a darn thing to do with it. So I talk like I talk because I can. These black men ain't doing it. So as a black woman, they talk about, well, you know, these women stay out of their place, but you put me in a position where I'm telling these other black men, y'all wrong for taking these folks' lives. They supposed to be the ones saying it instead of trying to uphold them for a crumb. Okay? It's a darn shame before God. He says the brother who shot and unalived his sister over who had the most Christmas gifts called her out her name. Now that was awful. Now look, 14 years old going to prison. I'm telling you. And so he'll be institutionalized. Okay. He'll be institutionalized. His brain is, he's 14 years old. His brain ain't nearly about through developing. Can y'all imagine him going into a penal facility And ain't no telling how long he gonna be up in there. Can you imagine if God don't get in there and take control, what he's gonna be like when he comes out? Can you imagine that? Yeah, it's something going on because I have a little cousin, and I hate it. That's in a penal facility, and he did some stuff around Memphis, and I'm not going to specify what he did, but the first time that it happened, he didn't do it, y'all. He didn't do it. What ended up happening was, as a 15-year-old boy, he was messing with a woman that was like 29 or 30 years old. The bitch ought to be in jail. Lord forgive me for calling her that. Okay? Calling her that. And he had his friends over there. These are 15, 14, 15, and 16-year-old boys. Why his mother did not move forward with filing um, charges against her for statutory, I don't even know. But anyways, his friends was over there and they stole some money from her. That's what kids do, oftentimes. And so what she did to him was she called the police. When the police got there, she said that she didn't want to tell the truth about she was having a relationship with him. So she said that he raped her. And then, because she was mad they stole her money, she said that the friends, his 14, 15-year-old friends did the same thing, right? And y'all, this is why we have to be very careful. And public defenders ain't good to have. And when you're dealing with stuff like this, I probably, you know, and y'all know I'm all about, because people get mad at me because I say I'm pro police. I'm for the police that do good or whatever. I am, and whoever don't like it, you know what you could do. And so, anyways, he ended up going to jail. And so what happened was when they questioned those young boys, they initially denied it, right? They denied it. And so they put so much pressure on them that they told them they'll let them go. And this is why you have to get lawyers for your children. And we don't want y'all, she was like more so he did it. And so what they did was they changed their story and put it all on him, right, to corroborate with what she had told the police, just so that they can get out. Kids will do that, right? That's how a lot of juveniles and stuff get messed over. And so that boy ended up going to jail. He went to jail from the time, I think he might have been 14, 15. She 29, almost 30 years old. Ought to be ashamed of herself. And we begged his mama, filed charges on her. I don't know. I guess she thought that he would not be convicted. Anyway, she didn't do it. He was convicted, and he ended up going to jail and doing from the time he was 14, and then they transferred him when he turned 18 to a penal facility, an adult jail. And he got out probably 2 years ago when he was, I think he ended up doing like 10 or something years. Yeah, ended up doing 10, 11, 12 years or whatever, because he's older than my daughter. How about, because his sister was telling me that when he was in juvenile and when he was in jail, that she would read the letters that he would write her, and a lot of the things that those men and stuff was doing to him down there, it just made her cry. And he would say, don't show nobody the letter and all of that, just the stuff that they was doing to him. You know what I mean? So when he gets out, because he's institutionalized, because of what they've done to him when he was in the facility, it was all over the news, right? It influenced him. So he goes to a white community, and I guess he gonna try and do to this female white what they had done to him in jail. Now, when people say, but maybe he did what the lady said he did, that lady was effing that boy. Okay. His mama and them knew it. I don't understand why she didn't stop it, but that's why I say about parents being better role models, because she was giving them money and stuff like that. They thought it was okay. Right. And then she turned around and flipped it on them because she already knew when it came out that she was screwing a 15-year-old boy. She was way more mature than them. She made it benefit her. They raped me. Right. And so that's what I'm talking about, y'all. Like being better examples in our community, because as a parent, if you know that your son, whether it's a son or a daughter, we raise now women don't have no issues with their 15-year-old daughters screwing 25, 30-year-old dope boys. First of all, you sick if you screwing a 15, 16-year-old girl and your damn, you 25, 30 years old, 40, 50 years old, you sick. I got issues. My oldest daughter is 25. Okay. She better not bring no 40-something-year-old man home. I better not see it. Because see, I'm in my damn 40s. Ain't no 40-year-old man got nothing in common with my 25-year-old daughter. I think that's sick. That's somebody that's got a mental illness. Right? Because you old enough to be her damn daddy. And so that's why I say, y'all, instead, you have mothers now that give their daughters to these grown girl. You better, he good. He 30 years old. You 15, he good to you. That's how we're going to get our rent and stuff paid. Y'all, it's just sad the positions now that a lot of parents are putting their children in. And it's not going to get no better in our community, y'all, until we start setting better examples. We got to start setting better examples. And once we start setting better examples, I think we'll start to see a whole lot of things in our community change. As far as when there's reconciliation, because at some point there's been a disconnect with Black men and Black women. Black men don't trust Black women. Black women don't trust Black men. I know it's got a lot to do with the hurt and stuff, but what I see more now is people hurt each other, right? Because it's all about, no, I'm gonna hurt them first before they hurt me. They probably love the person. I gotta hurt them first. They look at everything as a game, because there has been a disconnect. A lot of people don't hurt people just because they want to hurt them. They hurt them because they're damaged and they're afraid of being hurt, and I gotta get my lick first. That's what's going on in our community, and it's messing up our kids. Okay, so it's not gonna get no better until we start setting better examples. If something is wrong with you, you on drugs, get your ass off crack. It's hard for me to feel sorry for a Negro that go and get his ass on crack when he turned 50. Motherfucker, you knew what was going to happen when you went and got on it at 50. You want to be an old ass crackhead. Well, I was just trying to, nigga, you came from the era in the 80s where you remember just say no. And you going to go to try crack at your age? So it's like, well, I'm on drugs. I'm a crackhead. They don't want to do nothing to help me. Motherfucker, you waited till you was 55 years old to get on crack. Right? So you already knew, not unless you got a mental retardation, what it was going to do to you. And so we got to stop having all of this codependency. I got on crack because I had a hard childhood. I be having all these thoughts of what happened to me when I was a child. When you come down off of the high, you're going to still have them problems. And that's what's going on. All of this codependency, people getting all on drugs. You already know what drugs going to do to you before you try them. You saw what it does. You saw what it did to your family members and your friends. Did you think you were any better? And so when you up there on your high, you leaving your children vulnerable, because you ain't coherent when you on a high. So you leaving your children, you in dope drug houses, your kids right there next to you while you laid out, intoxicated on that high, somebody molesting your damn child. So now you got another issue. So then when your child get old enough to say, mama, you allowed this to happen to me or that happened to me, you going up getting high again because you can't hardly deal with what you allowed to happen. Our people gonna have to do better. That's it. That's all. We're going to have to start making better decisions. A lot of stuff that we look for people to come in and do in our community, the black men are supposed to be leading the community. It ain't gonna get no better until these black men get back up on their throne. We can't put no crowns on no clowns. And one or two black men can't do it. So when they start talking about Al Sharpton and them are, they are leaders. If a man is a husband and he got a family or he got kids and they talking about Al Sharpton as a leader and you a black man, you's a damn failure. Because number one, Al Sharpton can't be my leader. These black men are the leaders because they're the ones that's in the damn communities. They're the ones that's having these kids and supposed to be raising them. Al Sharpton ain't putting his foot in the hood. He ain't gonna do it unless it's got a damn camera there with national attention. So these black men are supposed to be the ones stepping up. So yeah, I hold a lot of these rappers, especially these older ones, they have a responsibility. Okay? So it ain't nothing at this point that we could do about Young Dolph other than make sure that they give Young Dolph justice, right? It's got to be justice regardless to who was involved, whether Yo Gotti or whoever was involved or not, whoever it was that was involved, right? It's got to be some justice because that's the only righteous thing. I don't care how we feel about them. It's got to be some justice. That black man didn't deserve to die, just like so many other black men didn't deserve to die. Hell, I don't even want Gotti to die. I don't want none of them to die. Right? But if they took part in doing this as a righteous black woman, there has to be some justice. They're going to have to sit their asses in jail. And any righteous black man would agree with me. Okay? That's true, OG Snake Spotter. That's why a lot of kids don't like their parents. Okay? But anyways, you guys, hit the like button. I said I wasn't going to be on here long. I done messed around and been on here for 2 hours. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. The nail shop open. I got to come back so that I can finish doing some stuff. I got to go get my nails and toes done. I'd be excited to go get my nails and toes done, y'all. That's the only solace that I have. I got to go out of town tomorrow. But I'll be back. I got to go up in the woods of Tennessee. I may stay overnight. Well, it all depends. If it's too hicky, I'm gonna get the hell out. But if it's not, I'll probably end up staying overnight. It's closer to Nashville. I might stay overnight. I don't know if I get done too late. Yeah, I take a lot of pride in the work that I do. You know why? Because the work that I do is completely different. I feel like even though it's investigative stuff, what I do is I feel like it's a calling from God. I don't try to be the police. I just kind of look at what I do is as being completely different. I look at it more so as being a ministry. That's what I look at it as doing, as being a ministry. So now I've never gotten on here to try and get information to tell the police. There's nothing that I could ever tell the police that they did not already know. They knew from day one what had happened to Young Dolph. They knew from day one because they got it from the people that did it. Do y'all really believe that those investigators and FBI agents are not sophisticated? Do y'all really believe that? No vlogger on here could ever solve the case. These people gave themselves away. You see, the devil meant it for bad, but God meant it for good. These record labels was paying these trolls to get on here. That's the reason why I know who some of these damn trolls is. Hell, that's the reason why I know they have been setting folks up. And I'm sure they know that they're going to hit that door. When they hit that door, they come to get them. How you gonna be hacking folks and letting the record company use you to hack people and get their addresses, or you got systems and you selling people's information $200 and $300, and you already know they want these people's location to go kill them. You gonna lose everything you got. A lot of these folks ain't gonna do some time. That didn't come from me. That came from law. That came from law enforcement. So we have to be very, doing anything for some money, y'all. People got to be very meticulous about what they do, because folks selling their souls for $1, and it ain't even worth it. Because trust me, it's coming to an end. It really has already ended. They just don't know it yet. Anyways, you guys, we love it when you're on here. Thank you, Leo. Anyways, you guys, I mean, I love anybody that love me, but those that have violated me, I think I told y'all I have issues. That's between me and God, because I'm not perfect. I have issues with forgiveness. So if you ever violated me, it ain't no white flag. It ain't no kumbayas. It ain't none of that. You violated me. I don't bother people. And I make sure that I don't bother people. I never would have been going to your God and them like that if I had not found out they were the ones sending them damn trolls at me. I mean, I would have remained neutral. Well, yeah, and neutral like I was in the beginning. It ain't like I'm lying on them though, right? They sent them trolls at me. Them people that work for them did too. It's a lot of people on here that they thought that we gonna corner the market and talk about this, and that. Motherfucker, you's a damn pedophile. You ain't even supposed to be on here. But a lot of them. But I thank God, that all of that stuff is being handled. That's the reason why when people wanted me to get on here and go at Raven, I wouldn't do it. You know why I wouldn't do it? I said, y'all, a lot of the people that's going at Raven and them, they got way worse backgrounds than Raven and them. It's a lot of twisted people on here. I wasn't going to listen to what they say. You morally bankrupt and corrupt. I'm not going to listen to a lot of these people. And you don't viciously go at people. That's not how you do it. I was not going to do it. And I still haven't done it. Right? Because I always understood that whoever was involved as it relates to the Young Dogs case, whoever was involved, they already knew about it and they were going to be arrested, whoever that was, right? But I guess sometimes God do things, because if I had been one of those ones to try, and I still try to do the best that I can, that remain neutral, a lot of stuff, maybe God allowed this to happen to me because I was the one screaming on every rooftop. I started putting out there what was happening as far as because these record labels are also involved in identity thefts and human trafficking and stuff, from what I'm told. So, it's a sad thing, y'all. Like I said, it's gonna be a lot of other vloggers birthed off of content that they're gonna be able to talk about when they finally arrest all of these people on YouTube, because it's gonna be bigger than Backpage. So it's gonna be a lot of other careers that are birthed off of the content that they're going to be able to vlog about once they start arresting all of these YouTubers on here. Right. Yeah, once you cross that line, you got to stay over there, because like I said, I don't bother nobody. I ain't never bothered nobody. I understand now when people, lie on you and come at you, it is because they are already messed. A lot of these people were put on here. That's the reason I go, dog, why people believe that? They get mad at me. I guess they thought they was going to be able to, see, they killed women and stuff like that. So I guess they thought they was going to be able to bully me. And a lot of them definitely had that mentality. They go get people straight up out the gutter. Those that have histories of killing women and got off on third-degree murder charges, which is why, some people third-degree murder charge is a damn joke. which is why you don't see a lot of states now. They've overthrown it. They don't even have it on the books anymore. Because a third degree murder charge, you can get off on some, you can do probation, right? And so when you have a system that gives, you choke a woman to death and kill her, and then you get a third degree murder charge and your ass supposed to be in jail, but instead you on YouTube violating, then that's a travesty of justice. Okay. Because one thing about a violator, they don't stop. The only thing that stop them is jail or death. And if you listen to them, they'll tell you. Um, when all this happened in Tam Queen, you know what, Gristle? I don't know. I don't know. Leo, that's facts. But it can't happen soon enough. So for those of you all that thought I was on here to try and get y'all in trouble, I ain't the one did it. Y'all need to look to the left of you. Because I didn't know about what y'all was doing on here. Talk to some of the folks in y'all's camps. They were the ones that's got y'all caught up in a RICO. Anyways, you guys, thank you, Miss Roberta, for being on here for a month. Anyways, is there anything else y'all want to ask me before I get off? I said I was going to start taking questions and stuff before I get off. Joy Loves Guys says stay on longer. Y'all, what color should I get my nails? The last time I got them pink. The time before that, I got them blue. I would love to. Oh Lord, you talking about New York? I love New York so much. When I be thinking about New York, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go back to New York. I love New York so much. Oh my God. I'm never there long enough. And people that live in New York, they go, oh, it's like a rat race. They don't like it. I love it. It's so eclectic. I love, like, the restaurants are, when you see like those restaurants, those be like mom and pop restaurants. So if you go to a Cuban restaurant, it's a Cuban family, an authentic Cuban restaurant. You go to the Italian restaurant, which is Italian food is my favorite food. It's going to be an authentic Italian family that owns the restaurant. So it's going to be authentic Italian food. I don't go mess with the Chinese food. It's too many alleys in New York, okay? Well, Lord forgive me for saying I'm so wrong. I don't eat a lot of soul food like when I'm out of town because I grew up on soul food. I be wanting to try other cultures of foods. I love that so much. Oh, like when I was in New York, one of the last times I went for my birthday, now I got the opportunity to stay for like 5 days and I loved it. And I had the opportunity to go to the Josephine Baker restaurant. And y'all know who Josephine Baker was. I love Josephine Baker, reading about Josephine Baker, her history and all of that. And child, the only thing it was something with shrimp in it. It had about 3 big shrimp. It had avocado and it had some lettuce, and it was 70 something dollars. I said, because when we brought it was like your ticket, 100 and something dollars. I said, what did I get? Oh, he was like, oh, that shrimp meal. I forget what it was called, but they had it fixed up on there and had it decorated and stuff. But all it had was 3 big shrimp, some mixed lettuce, and some avocado, and it was 70 something dollars. But it'd be a lot of rich white people in there. I should get yellow nails. Okay, normally I get yellow and stuff around the summer, but maybe I will do yellow. I be looking at yellow as being more like a springy and a summer color. I wear yellow a lot during the summer, yellows and lime greens and stuff like that. Um, the vibrancy. I be so excited when I go and get my nails and toes and stuff done. That's the only time I really have. That's something I do for me. And y'all, yeah, but maybe I will get a yellow. I don't know because I had pink. Time before that, I had blue. I be loving purples, but I'm chocolate. So purples are almost the color of my skin, almost like it does nothing for me. So I don't really like wearing it. I've been looking for like an electric purple. He said, "Who the hell is Josephine Baker?" Josephine Baker was a dancer from out of the 1920s. Just let me give y'all a little history on it, okay? She was a dancer from out of the 1920s from out of St. Louis, Missouri. And she ended up joining the French Review. And because she was black, back then, when she started traveling in the 20s and in the early 30s, in America, she couldn't really be all she could be. So she ended up joining this French Review that said that they was going to France. So she went over there to France and she ended up becoming a big star. You know why she became a big star? Because when she got over there to France, they weren't used to seeing black women dancing and stuff. And so they were so intrigued by her skin tone. They looked at her as being exotic and being a black woman on stage dancing with bananas around her with, topless and all of that. And she learned how to speak French and sing in French. They was like, oh my gosh, she's so exotic. Like, where did she come from? It wasn't a lot of black people, from my understanding, over there. So when black people start talking about, when they start downing black people, first of all, we all came from greatness, right? It's a lot of people that want a lot of the attributes that we have. You have people going to get tans and stuff to try and darken their skin, but we go and bleach our skin to try and be lighter. But while they're trying to be like us, we're trying to be like them, right? And but all the time that down in black people. But this lady became a millionaire because people were so intrigued over in France, all of these white people with a dark skin, a medium skin, brown skin black woman, that was just exotic. That's the reason why I say, when they started using puffy to try and usher in, and Latino women are beautiful because a lot of you Puerto Ricans are black anyways, right? A lot of Mexicans, they're really black. Italians, what I learned is they didn't consider Italians to be white people until like the 1930s or 40s, because over in Italy, the reason a lot of Italian women have hips and curly hair is because they had a slave port. And the white guys will be going in having sex with the slave women. And so that's the reason why a lot of Italians have olive complexions. Y'all, I know my damn history. I know I'm speaking up in here today. Okay. But they don't want to be black. Okay. That's why a lot of times when they have kids, they their kids come out with curly hair and big butts and hips and stuff like that, shaped like black women. So what they try to do is, Italians, since now they've been considered white, they try to marry white men, okay, that might identify themselves as being Italian, because they try to breed out so their kids don't reach back to their ancestors, because it'll come out to, you can't escape your ancestors. They might have a curly haired child with olive complexion, right? But Josephine Baker she ended up adopting a rainbow tribe because she could not have children. She adopted 12 children, all of different races and ethnicities, okay? And she ended up going into bankruptcy or whatever. She ended up getting a chateau, and that's why I want to go to France, because I want to go and visit her chateau. And I hear it is a hotel now. And I'm going to tell y'all, because I can dream big, okay? I always pay attention to it. Her chateau, somebody recently bought it, but they bought it for $250,000. Now, if it had went up for sale back then, I ain't got it now, but I promise you, like, I had wanted to. I wish I could buy that chateau. I believe it's gonna go up for sale again. And what they've done is made it into a museum and parts of it into a hotel. Okay. But yeah, that's who Josephine Baker was. Okay. A black woman that went over to France because she was not accepted in America for being black and started dancing on stages and stuff, and became very famous because the white people was intrigued with her exoticness. Okay. And I hear people say all the time, I think as black people, we have to be very, very careful about that. I think as black people, we're all beautiful and come in different shades and colors, but you still have a lot of black people that have that mentality that the closer you are to white, the better you are. Now they'll say, I love black people, but they don't think nothing is better than a woman that is closer to white, or a man that, oh girl, he a red bone. I don't date no dark skinned guys. Everybody has a preference. Well, why you like only red men? What, do you date white men? No, I don't date white men. So you identify with anything that's closer to white. You think anything that's closer to white is better. So what we have to do is be very meticulous about that. That's the reason I said I would date any man of any tone as long as he got some substance. Because I ain't never been color struck. Okay. Lynn Whitfield. Yeah, Lynn Whitfield played her in the Josephine Baker story. And there's nothing wrong with, if you want to date a white man, date a white guy. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I had talked to a white guy. We had started talking, and I was the one that was more self-conscious about it. I had never dated or talked to a white guy, and I was, really like I had not. And like when we would go out, I would be looking around. He would be like, "You want to meet here at this restaurant?" I'm like, okay. And I was like a schizophrenic. I would be looking around to see. I would go, "They looking at us," and he would go, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "They staring at me." Like and I'm serious. Like I was so paranoid. I'm like, "They judging me." And he was like, "Are you ashamed of being here with me?" I'm like, "No, but I'm gonna tell y'all, I got a lot of like looks from not other white people, but the black women would be looking at me like I was disgusting, and the black men would be looking at me like I was absolutely disgusting. But he was a cool white guy. We never had sex or anything like that. I think I was just so paranoid. He taught me a lot. Um, like when we would be, he would go, "You want to go meet for lunch like in downtown Memphis?" We could just walk because one of his businesses was downtown. He was well established, had several businesses, had even talked about opening up a business. He was like, "I would like to open up a business. Can I get you to run it and do this and that?" And when we would go walk in, I would meet him. At the time I was working for the sheriff's office, so I would walk out of the sheriff's office and we would go have lunch or something downtown. And he was such a gentleman. Like if I would try to walk on the outside, like where where on the outside of the sidewalk, he would go, "No, get in here, get in here." The man is supposed to always be on the outside. You know what I mean? The woman is supposed to always be on the inside. Like I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So um that's the reason why I say date who makes you happy. Just don't think just because you date a white person, that they're better than a black person. Because a lot of people think, well, I had married me a white woman. And what the thing about it is these black men be getting mad at black women um um white men now, but they had been marrying white women when their asses got rich. Okay, they started it. If you catch me with any other woman besides a black woman, I'm holding her for the police. I just say date who's gonna treat you right. That's what I say. Date whoever you love and who's gonna treat you right. We're all the same, child. Unfortunately, though, for what I see with black people, they date other races because they hate black women, or they feel like, well, I'm making $500,000 a year, so I gotta date out of my race, as if dating somebody, dating a white woman, because you're making all that money makes you better. But when your cuckabug head ass didn't have shit, your drawers was shitty, and you was trying to make it, you was dating a black woman. She was helping you with your struggle, you bitch. But as soon as you come up on some money, all of a sudden now I can't stand that black woman because she just talked too much. She don't know how to keep her mouth closed. Y'all talking too much. But when she was helping you with your struggle, because that's what black women do, we get mad because we're emotional. We might run our mouths a lot, but we sure be helping them black men with their struggle. And then all of a sudden, when they come up, they can't stand their mouth no more. They have to go get them a white woman that then have a couple kids by him and take his ass to court and get all this damn money. As she should. At Nola and thin line between love and hate. Lord have mercy. As y'all can see on my thumbnail, I got myself and my daughters on my thumbnail, and I put my daughters up there because of the title, right? I wanted for people to know that I wanted for people to see, like, as a mother, as a parent, you're supposed to be the protector and the influence and the role model to your children, right? You're supposed to be that. And if you ain't the role model type, you need, if when you have kids, you need to be trying to change your ways so that you can be a role model to your kids. Yeah, Lynn Whitfield is from Baton Rouge, and let me say this: I remember looking at Lynn Whitfield on Oprah Winfrey, and Lynn Whitfield, and I've heard this. I know Nola girl probably disagree with me, but Lynn Whitfield said this herself, and I've heard other people say this. Lynn Whitfield said she grew up in Louisiana, around Baton Rouge or whatever, where a lot of the people around the Louisiana area, especially the Baton Rouge, especially the New Orleans area, you couldn't be any darker than the paper bag. The closer you were to white, the better that they thought you were. Now, Lynn Whitfield said that herself. She said because her aunties was talking about how they had to run off dark skinned guys from her little cousins and stuff like that. And she said she grew up around that. As she got older, she was like, wow, they're still doing this. Like, she started knowing better. She said, but it had always been like that around the Louisiana area, where they felt like, they consider it Creole, but Creole people black. Okay. Because when you go to jail, they're going to put your ass as black. You're just a light-skinned black person, right? And so, but she said that growing up, that's how it had always been down there. Now and I've heard other people from around the area say that. The closer you are to white, the better they think that you are. That's why I said I don't mean no harm. I've always, I did date a guy from out of Baton Rouge. No, he was from out of Plaquemine Parish, and we talked for a little while, and he was like that too. And I'm chocolate, but he was like that too, because he would go, she got pretty skin, and when they would say pretty skin, you would think that they was talking about smooth, pretty skin with no spots, but they can have spots all on their skin, potholes all in their skin, but they consider pretty skin to be light skin, right? Even if you got potholes and shit, all meat holes all in your damn skin, right? She said Baton Rouge is different from New Orleans. People in Baton Rouge never liked New Orleans. I went to school in Baton Rouge, but that was some occasions. Clubs may have been that way. Oh, okay. Mm. I tell you. But I always tell people though, everybody has their preference. My mom dark, my dad light with green eyes. Our family never tripped over color. My dad family have Polish and French, and they very pro black. Okay. Well, I must say this because of hearing that. I basically always had like a really a paranoia of I never I've never had a, what's the word that I'm looking for? I never, after him, I never really wanted to, and we didn't really, we just talked, of dating anybody from out of Louisiana. But I'm not saying that everybody is like that. I've just heard people say that they have that color struckness in their mind, like it's been etched in a lot of the men's brains. But I'm gonna tell you something. There's this rapper, and I'm not gonna say who it is, that from down there in Louisiana, and his family, one of his family, his how should I put it, because I don't want to say too much. One of his family members was talking about um how he was saying he was like, I think that she's very attractive. I love her dark skin. And this is a and he's from out of, he was born and raised in New Orleans, and one of his relatives was saying that he's always liked chocolate girls. He's always dated dark skinned girls. So I'm not saying that everybody is like that. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. For me, I prefer very dark skinned men. You know what? I don't have a preference on skin tones, but I guess if I had to choose, I think guys that have that brown is very sexy to me. But I don't really have a preference when it comes to skin tone. I will say this, because I'm dark skinned, light skinned guys have always chosen me. I guess because they like dark skinned guys. I mean, they like dark skinned girls, and darker skinned guys never really found me attractive. Like they always like lighter skinned girls, right? It seems like that's how it is. Y'all hit the like button for me. Like, share, and subscribe. Y'all, I ain't trying to brag, but aren't my babies beautiful? I be looking at them. I'm like, Lord, what did I do to deserve such good girls? And then they so pretty. That could be a blessing and a curse. So I'm like, how did I get such beautiful babies? Say folk be liking what they like. He said we look like sisters. Those are mama's babies. I be saying this when they be so embarrassed because I be wanting to kissing on them and stuff out in public. I be saying mama's babies, mama's babies. They go, oh my God, mama, you so corny. When we used to be in the grocery store when they was growing up and stuff, they had a fit that I would be wanting to kiss them and stuff. They always say that, Mom, leave me alone. Hold on, y'all. Okay, y'all. I'm gonna have to go because hey Cecilia, I got what you sent me. I'm gonna do a story on that today. As a matter of fact, before I got on here, I was getting ready to call you, but I was like, I gotta go to the nail shop and I gotta go. I got a client coming over today. I gotta record their show over my studio. They record their TV show. So I'll probably, if I get a chance, I'm gonna go over to my office, I might do it while I'm sitting over at my office. But that is very interesting. And the thing about it is you've been talking about that, Cecilia. I remember you saying something about that, and now it's all coming to pass as it relates to that. So New Era said too mushy. I'm telling you, my girls will get so embarrassed about me kissing on them all the time. And I still be kissing on them. I be trying to kiss on them. I remember when they started getting older, they would make me I think told y'all this before. They would make me get them $1. Like my oldest daughter, I mean my baby girl especially. My baby girl would say, "Mama, I'll give you 10 kisses if you give me $1." And I would count the kisses. I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I was like, I'm gonna get 5 kisses right now, and then I'll get the other 5 kisses when later on today. And so sometimes she'll say, well, you got to give me $1.50 if you don't want to get all of the kisses at one time. And then they'll be counting. My oldest daughter be counting. One, mama, that's 1 kiss. That's 2 kisses. You trying to steal some kisses. I said it's a shame when they started getting older, they started making me pay them for some kisses. But I be getting all the good sugar now from my grandbaby. Oh, her sugar is so good. I was getting all the kisses yesterday. She wasn't feel because she normally busy, but she wasn't feeling good. She was just laying down. And so I was holding her in my arm and I was just getting all of the kisses. I do too. So everybody make sure that they wear their mask because they're saying, yes, grandkids are the best. Oh my God. Everybody make sure that they wear their mask, okay? Because they're saying that C-19 is back up in record numbers and the hospitals have been overloaded. Um, they've been overloaded, okay? With cases. Anyways, you guys, please like, share, and subscribe. You guys, I got to get out of here because I don't want to. It's Friday. I don't want to. I want to beat the crowd at the nail shop, and I got other things I got to do because I got to go out of town tomorrow. But anyways, you guys, I love you guys. I'll speak with you later.